Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of XRP, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what I would kind of expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stay up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in the Discord server, then you are missing a trick. Linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's the first place that we go to notify you of the ins and the outs of the crypto space. So why not go ahead, check it out, linked in the description below. Okay, let's make a start. XRP paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is the data source. And, following on from the previous video, we had two options here. We obviously had the 42.36 and the 37.01, or even as low as 36.61. And, well, we have this kind of interesting structure come down. We haven't actually broken our yellow line at 37.30. We can see that this wick down here, it came down to 37.33. And so just a fraction above. You could almost argue this is double bottom kind of scenarios. I'm actually quite happy to say that this is basically meaning that this one is not in play. I'm pretty happy to say that that one doesn't seem to be the scenario that's playing out here. Now, obviously, our options, let me just remove these labels, right? The options are that we have this one, just played out like this, and then we have this little micro movement to the upside, potentially still looking at revisiting some of those lows, or we're done here and we have that slightly higher progression. Okay, now I want to draw a few things on here, right, because this hourly chart is quite interesting. Okay, so obviously at the top here we have this high big area of supply. Okay, this is a supply zone. I'm going to actually put the word zone at the end there as well. Okay, the supply zone is basically resistance. This is where the sellers are. Okay, now if I focus in just down here on the bottom for a second, those particular wicks are of interest to me right here. Okay, and if I actually snap that to there, we pull it this way, we can kind of see that this area is also an area where we had previous supply and demand coming in, as basically this is an area that we kind of found ourselves consolidating on. We tried to find it as support, we found it as resistance, for support again, and support again. Okay, so we would actually know this as a demand zone. Okay, so we'll go call this a demand zone. Okay, so we'll throw that in there. Okay, so we have our demand zone, and we can kind of see that this is the lower end of our little dash line here at 37.3 as well. So that's holding up quite well, but we also have some minor supply zones in here as well. Previous areas of support gone resistance, and we can see these right in here as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and snap this right on here, and I think I'll take it on this wick right here. If I pull this one across here, you can kind of see that we found it as resistance, we pushed through, we turned it to support, we tried to find it as support here, we actually just break it briefly, we went up, again consolidating into a bit of support, broke it, resistance, resistance, resistance. Okay, and so this area here is also a supply zone, but it's quite a minor one. It's not as important as the higher level, okay, the one that we have at the big one at the top here. It's not as big as that, but it is obviously a pretty important one on these minor movements. So here you can kind of see that we broke it up to the upside, we found it as resistance, and we moved back down to our demand zone at the bottom, and then of course we rally up from here. Now we can see that we're currently breaking down at the point of me recording this video, just a fraction, and we can also acknowledge that there's three waves inside there as well, so we can come 1, 2, and 3 there. Get that to the actual wick, there we go. Nothing too unusual about that, and so therefore we have this minor movement to the downside. Our stochastic RSI is really high on the 1 hour and the 4 hour, meaning that we're probably going to be coming back down towards this demand zone, okay? And we don't have to break this. I don't think we necessarily will, but we'll keep a close eye on it. So basically what I'm talking about here is revisiting the 37.33 to 37.75 range, and finding that more buyers, okay, because right now there seems to be a lot of resistance up here in this kind of area. And again, I could draw another one of these on. I don't want to do too many of them, but you can kind of see there's a small slither right in here. If I pull it across, kind of consolidated in this range, it probably needs to actually be a little bit higher, about here, even up as high as that. You can kind of see that, you know, we're consolidating in this range, still kind of trading sideways, if you will. I think it's a bit too much to have it on there, so we'll just focus about these ones. There's lower demand zone and the minor supply zone before maybe having to revisit to the upside. So I think that we've kind of got ourselves a situation where we're probably going to come back down a little bit here. We obviously have the momentum on our stochastic on the 1 hour and the 4 hour. If I check the 4 hour, you can see it's only just come out to the overbought area, so it's not overly problematic. But I'm thinking that we're going to come down into the oversold area on the 1 hour chart. And what we'll end up with, I think, is something that might look like this by the time it is done. So we basically come down into this demand zone, and then we come back up to the supply zone, this minor one anyway, at 39.46 and 39.46 to 39.73. So in my mind, that's kind of where I think is the most likely. Now on the 8 hour chart here, you can see we've still got progression to the upside, right? So we know that actually the 4 hour can stay overbought, the hourly chart can come down, and then we can get this rally to the upside, basically taking that 8 hour, 4 hour and 1 hour all up into that overbought range. Now the daily chart is oversold, okay, but it is only just oversold, so it's actually got a lot longer to kind of stay down here, in my opinion. So what I'm thinking is once this kind of completes, then actually if I zoom out, we'll end up with a bigger retracement, taking us down potentially, you know, significantly lower than this range, probably down into another low point down in the price range of around 35 cent. But it'd be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. I don't want to talk too much about the future, you know, days and days and days away, but obviously I do these videos on XRP every other day, so we can kind of get an idea as to kind of where the price action is going. And for now, I do think we're going to revisit the demand zone and then go back up to this little minor supply zone. So just expect that kind of movement in the space. So I think there's a potential long opportunity once we're down in this demand area to take up into that C wave high point, and then basically exit out of there or short when you're up in that range. So we're talking probably a 5% movement to the upside. So from short-term traders, that's kind of the way my mind is at on XRP. Obviously on the larger time frames, we are still, of course, thinking that there's a bigger move to the downside, heading down towards 26, or maybe as high as 28. It's hard to say exactly. The 1-to-1 takes us down to about 26.59. So there's definitely that option still available to us, and I do think that is something that is going to be playing out. We just need to kind of allow it the time to kind of do that. Now, of course, it can be fast, like we had with this A wave. Sometimes it can be incredibly slow and can just take its time to get there. But yeah, down I think is the direction that we are going to be heading, and so keeping a close eye on that on the daily time frame. Now we're only just in this oversold area, whereas the weekly has about a fair few weeks left in this to move it down. So I don't think we're done just yet. I do think there's a lot more room to the downside, and so definitely one thing to be keeping an eye on. I'm going to leave this video right there though. If you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, and don't forget to join us down in the Discord server. Guys, are linked in the description below. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.